being live. So we're diving right into the questions, and we're going to start with a personal one. Nilsa, what's it like to be married to Frank?
I was asked this not too long ago, and I would have to say I'm going to give the same answer. It's like being on a roller coaster. You go up, down, around, and you twirl around a couple times, and then you're straight away. A couple times I would get off the roller coaster, watch him go around a couple times, and then I'd hop back on again. So that's what it's like living with Frank McKinney.
So if you missed the first part, this is our good friend Jeff Perlman, who we've known for 25 years. He was a journalist with the Thursday Times, the Delray Times. He eventually, just like we went from crack houses to multi-million-dollar houses, Jeff went from a reporter to the mayor of Delray Beach. So we've kind of been on. Who would have thought? You're right, watching each other kind of climb that proverbial ladder. So we're really honored on this Throwback Thursday to talk about a little bit about the past, where we came from, and just honored to have Jeff, who hasn't worn a journalist hat in a long time, to dust it off and come out and share a little time on Facebook Live with you. So let's hop back on the roller coaster.
Let's get on the roller coaster.
Well, Frank, it's only fair, since Nilsa answered the question, that you should talk about what it's like to be married to Nilsa.
You know, I remember when I came to Florida when I was 18. I was living in Deerfield Beach, and I was renting an apartment with a bunch of maintenance workers. And my boss said that there was no way that I would live to see my 21st birthday. I moved here when I was 18. Because it was kind of that kind of, addicted to excitement, not necessarily anything that was, like alcohol and all that, but anything that was exciting, I had to do it. And it was probably a path that was going to lead to some self-destruction if I didn't meet the guardian angel that had been looking over me for the years. I believe in guardian angels, and they look over you. And before I met her, they were invisible. And then I meet Nilsa, and I finally realized that there's such a thing as you can marry your guardian angel. And now, almost 29 years later, we will be married August 3rd, 29 years. We met each other August 5th, 1987. So that's, 32 years ago. So 8587. Everybody now knows my passcode to every single thing out there. But it's just really a blessing to be able to marry your guardian angel and somebody who, I don't even understand myself. I couldn't live with myself. I couldn't marry myself. I kind of don't like myself sometimes, but I have somebody who puts up with all of that. It's just fantastic.
It's a great answer. So here's a follow-up question. Could be a little loaded here, so tread carefully on the roller coaster. Not only are you married for a long time and known each other for a long time, but you work very closely together and always have. So how does that work? The dynamics, the decision-making, how do you resolve disputes? How does the creative process work? And what's it like to live and work together?
Go ahead.
I think you have to start with great communication and respect. As long as you keep those two things at the forefront, you may disagree on things, you may agree on other things, but the respect and the full, clear communication has to be in place at all times. And I really believe that's how we're able to work together, live together, be married together, and be happy together. So it's really at the foundation of everything we do. And on top of that is our faith. We're very strong in our faith, and it always comes full circle back to our faith.
The only thing I would add to that is, marriage is kind of like a minefield in the Vietnam War, and the way that those mines are placed, sometimes in life they're spread out so far that there's no chance you're going to step on and blow up. But during marriage, there's also times when they're so concentrated that you have to be very careful where you put each step, and that's why so many marriages blow up. I think that there's conflict in our marriage, and there's definitely conflict working together. It's not something that you advise somebody to do. But when you think about conflict, the forces that are at work underneath the crust of the earth that take the rocks and the stones and the sand and they compress them under that pressure, that intense pressure, what's the result? It's a diamond. That's what creates diamond, is a pressure with just raw materials. We have just raw materials. We definitely conflict. We definitely fight like every couple out there does, but we do it with respect and also with the anticipation that in the end, Jeff, there will be that diamond after the resulting conflict. And look at the stuff that we build, because we work together.
And faith that that diamond's going to happen. That's the result. In the lead up to this interview, which was planned from Saturday on, so thank you for that phone call, we got some questions through Facebook, so we thank everybody for sending questions. And one of the questions was about your daughter, Laura, and how accomplished she is at such a young age. She's student body president at Penn State, which is a huge university. That's an incredible accomplishment. And people were kind of wondering, how did you, your parenting style that kind of created a real special young woman?
Are you sure? Because I don't think I did anything.
I
have no idea that my daughter turned out the way that she did, because when I was her age, I certainly wasn't president of anything other than my, some little fiefdom in my mind. There was nothing. I just think that my parenting skill was do as I do, not as I say. I didn't speak a lot when it came to discipline and teaching. She watched her father. And I encouraged her by saying yes to things more than no. So if she wants to get on the chair and turn on the light, even though she can barely walk, I'm going to let her do that and fall down, versus saying, honey, no, don't get on the chair. You might hurt yourself. So I think I parented with I remember saying, honey, in school, if you bring home a C on your report card, it stands for C, I'm smart. Or if you get a detention, one detention, we're going to Applebee's. Because I wanted her to just not feel so pressured that parents put on performance and on grades. And the thing I wrote the other day real quick was on every time we travel, I had her walk against the grain on a moving sidewalk in the airport. Since she was 3 all the way till now, even at 20, you walk against the people coming towards you, because that's life. I want you to feel what it's like to be made fun of, to be pushed out of the way, to be ridiculed, to be laughed at. And at the end, if you can navigate your way to the end, then you have stood out. You've gone against the grain. It worked. She's definitely more conservative. She's more like Nilsa that way. But she does know how to take a risk. Obviously, running for president of Penn State and now getting this job at Central Park, working for the office of the president and CEO of Central Park. It's just a job for the summer, by the way. She's not there permanently. She still wants a better job. But that's what I did as a parent. And then Nilsa was, she was a little bit more hands-on.
I think we also started with a child that was very disciplined in many ways. She also had a will to go out there and try things that possibly most kids wouldn't want to try. And we encouraged it. I was a lot more cautious with Laura. I always would make sure she would understand the pros and cons to a decision. Encourage her to make the decision, let her know she'd have our support either way, but I always let her know ahead of time what the damage could be from a decision, where probably sometimes Frank wasn't as willing to share that with her, but we're just very, very blessed beyond measure that she has taken the ball and she's run with it, and we're so proud of her, really, really are.
Hey, Juan, is anybody commenting? Any questions? No? We got viewers, though? Everything's fine? Audio's good? Audio's good, everybody? Thumbs up? All right. Back to our host.
All right. Well, it is Throwback Thursday, so before I want to come full circle and kind of talk about where we're sitting, because I may not move because it's that spectacular. I've never seen anything quite like this view. We go back to the days when you were really, literally building in neighborhoods that were filled with crack houses. And then from there, you went to Bankers Row, and then from there to the ocean. I was wondering, in thinking back about the breadth of your career, was any of this planned? I mean, did you have a vision for where you were going? When you were working on those houses in the Southwest neighborhood, did you both think that you would end up literally on the ocean with some of the best views on the planet from where you started?
You know, Jeff, I was so happy from 1990 or 1987 when we did our first project in Delray, all the way to when we did our first Oceanfront project in '92 next to the Seagate. No, I'm kind of in the moment. You know, I'm when we were doing the little crack houses, I was still am a firm believer that the American dream was meant to be owned, not rented. And at the time, most people that we would sell these $100,000 houses to, because back then a first-time home buyer house was $100,000, were renting the American dream. Why, if you could take first, last, and security that you would pay to rent, could you use that as a down payment to own the American dream? Real estate is the greatest wealth creator in the history of the United States. So why not own that and give yourself a chance to make some money? So I loved the entry-level homes that we were doing in the southwest and northwest section. What it took, really, was a handful, a dozen visionaries, and I don't even know if I count myself in that category, but people like you, people like Tom Lynch, people, you know, going to Lula Butler. I mean, these are people that most of you won't even know who this is, but these are people who embraced our vision. You know, when we would go in front of the commission, and I had even longer hair then, and there was, like, we were accepted in Delray for what we wanted to do, and we never asked for anything from the government, from the local government. We just told them what we would like to do using private money to turn around places like Bankers Row. That was, in Bankers Row, by the way, Northeast 2nd?
Yeah, derelict back then.
Derelict, $30,000 we could buy a house for on Bankers Row. We bought the house we ended up getting married in for $75,000 on Bankers Row, and Jeff, that just sold for $1.7 million. Not yeah, yes, and the little tiny cottages are now $700,000 that we were buying for $30,000. So, I mean, those are the things that you have. I mean, real estate is not necessarily location. You have to make the location a lot of times, and have visionaries working alongside you, like we had with Jeff, and then eventually we felt that we wanted to take that vision to the oceanfront in '92, and that's when we did our first oceanfront project, and we've done 44 since then. This is number 44. Yeah.
He's a tough act to follow.
I know, it's true. I'm trying to remember the question now because it was so good.
Was there a vision to get, to get
Yeah.
all the way to the ocean?
I think, you know, a lot of times Frank and I, we would go out to dinner and we'd brainstorm on all these ideas we would have for a house, draw on a napkin, and end up booking a trip somewhere to get inspired. And I think with all that exercise of going places, being inspired, the dream kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we kept meeting our buyers who expected more and wanted more. And we just stayed in touch with what the buyers wanted. And literally that ended up bringing us here to where we are today.
Good one. Good question.
My recollection of that era is that, and I remember people saying, "You guys are crazy," because the pricing you were putting on the oceanfront that had never been seen before. First, I think it was a $6 million price tag. The next house was like $12 million, and nobody had ever seen anything like that in Delray. They'd seen it in Palm Beach, but not in Delray. And there was a belief, even back then, in that little city's potential to be every bit as valuable as you would get in a world-class known destination as Palm Beach. So I would give you credit for kind of setting the bar on the oceanfront market, and it's not looked back since. No. What does it take to look at that and say, you know, it's never been done before, and I'm gonna set a price tag that nobody's ever gotten, never achieved, and then achieve it? What does that feel like, and what does it take to do that?
There's a simple Bible passage from Hebrews 11, chapter 11, verse 1. Very simple. Faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you do not see. So that's a perfect, not a metaphor, it's a Bible passage for what we took to Delray Beach. And we believed that the amenities, the beach, the downtown had all the ingredients of an undervalued commodity. And so when we went to start on the oceanfront there, just a little monetary lesson, a retro monetary lesson, the oceanfront property is sold by the front foot. So when we bought our first property, it was $7,500 per front foot. So a 100-foot lot was $750,000, which is a lot of money in a place called Delray that nobody wanted to live in. Now today, in 2019, that same front foot is $115,000 per front foot. So if you're buying a 100-foot lot, do the math. It's what is that? 115,000. It's $11,500,000 for a 100-foot lot that we paid $750,000 for. So there's a reason we haven't built in Delray in like a decade, because we priced ourselves out of the market. We have to find little enclaves like we found here in South Palm Beach. But we live in Delray. I mean, this isn't a Delray commercial, but we love Delray. We've lived there for 22 years, and just I love that process of seeing the values increase. Which now a lot of people said that's it's not relatable to the rest of the city. We heard that all the time. Like, you guys are on an island over there, and you're catering to the ultra wealthy. That's not true, because the values trickle down. They started, and then if you go across the intercoastal, everywhere benefited from what we were doing on the ocean.
Not to mention the tax base that helps to pay for a lot of the amenities that people need. So that kind of tax base pays a lot of bills. So there's so much to talk about, and we go back in such a way. There's the writing career, there's the speaking career, there's the design career, there's the charitable function. So, I feel like I should let you talk about some of that if you want to, but I do want to come back to where we're sitting here today, because this is like amazing and very, very special.
Can you spin that around? Yeah. While he's spinning it, give him go ahead and narrate. You're here for the first time.
We are sitting in the master bedroom of this really special house. It's still under construction. A lot of workers are in the house as we speak, so you may hear a hammer or two. The view is just indescribable. And we're sitting in the master bedroom in a house that doesn't have a beam. So I've never seen this. I've been in a lot of Frank's projects over the years and other homes. I've never seen such an unfettered
Yes, live TV, but the show goes on. And now, how's that? Can you hear us now? A little bit better. We've unhooked the audio. Maybe we have people that just hung up on us. Good? All right, we're back. I don't know where we lost you, but we're about ready to wrap up.
Anything else about this house? Because the neighborhood is kind of cool. There's only like 3-4 homes, right, in the whole town. It's like hard to wrap your mind around.
The town of South Palm Beach has 4 houses in it, and we've got 3 of them are on the ocean. So we think it's a tiny little gem in the rough, a little diamond in the rough, and it's. But I will tell you, of the 44 projects we've done on the ocean or across the street from the ocean, I've never built this close to the beach. Yet we're the finished floor elevation of this house is 20 feet above sea level. So when people have this what I call hurricane anxiety factor, it's not the wind, it's the surge. It's the surge. I'm high up. It's the surge people should be worried about. It's the surge. It's actually the scour. The surge comes in, the scour as the waves go back out. Once it pulls out, we're 20 feet above sea level. It would take a massive. There was a house here built in 1950 before this had survived all those years. Scores of hurricanes. Yeah, because the elevation being so high. And I built a new seawall.
So I would be remiss if we didn't end on I mean, this is the last Oceanfront project, right?
Last project period. Yep.
So,
for me, she hasn't made that statement.
Okay.
I'm done though.
There you go. He's done. Nilsa may go on. We don't know.
Never know.
What's next? Is it too soon?
You know what, Jeff? Here's what I've learned about retiring, or the thought of retiring. Most people retire when they're burnt out. They've reached the end. I can't wait for that gold Rolex. I can't wait for the big party with my name on it and says they're retired. I want to stop. I love what I do now more than ever, which means my passion is ablaze. I mean, I just love it. I don't want to have to retire when I'm burnt out and I have to like a flywheel, rekindle that passion and find something else. I simply will be able to redirect that passion into something else, like from day one. But to your point, to your question, this house being finished and having the grand unveiling on May 23rd, which we're going to do a little drawing here, by the way, in a second. It's not finished until it's sold. So I don't retire until this thing's sold. Finished is one thing, sold is another. So I'm not looking forward to, I'm looking forward as in I'm eager, but I don't think about what's next until I'm finished and sold this.
Which I think as a result of this interview might happen imminently. If they see the view, it's sold.
If you want to retire me, sell this house. If you want me to stick around, you don't want me to stick around. I'm tired of.
There's one thing that I do want to say that really, from the very beginning, we always said it, especially after we started our foundation, Karen had the project foundation. We build these big houses so that we can build smaller ones in the third world countries that do need the help. The foundation is our passion, and it parallels our faith in so many ways. And we are definitely looking to add a couple more hours to our foundation and what our foundation is capable of doing.
Yeah, it's true, because that's Nilsa's saying. We build big ones, we build the small ones, and then we built 27 self-sufficient villages in Haiti in the last 16 years, housing 12,000 children, desperately poor children and their families. That doesn't change. I mean, obviously, that we have that on like autopilot, so efficient over there. What role that grows into? Like, I always want to be ambassador in Haiti. I thought I'd be a great ambassador with the short list when Trump got elected. I got interviewed 3 times by the State Department. Didn't make it. I didn't have a PhD after my name or something, but I didn't get it. But I have a heart for Haiti. I always have.
Yeah, our daughter actually, Laura has also grown in love with what we do in Haiti. The orphans and the orphanages that we have over there has become her project, and she's very active on our foundation. She is a board member on our foundation. Her dream is to continue the foundation long after we're gone. So it is a stepping stone for her as well. So I'm very proud of her. Yeah. So
any final word?
Well,
are we going to do a
We're gonna do a little drawing. Would you mind grabbing the woman downstairs and have your? I'd like to have her do this and we'll get her name.
Frank, this is great. Thank you.
Thank you for making the time. I mean,
This was a lot of fun.
what gave me the idea. Jeff posted a throwback picture of him from the Monday Thursday Times, and I thought, oh my God, that's it. That was your picture that was in the newspaper, right? And I'm like, I remember that picture. It hasn't changed a lot. You're still the same bank and stuff.